Welcome, it's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richard, good to be with you. We got a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day, my dear friend, extraordinary host, commentator, journalist, Sharon Reed. Also breaking down news of the day, it's going to be a surprise, okay? But when I tell you this is going to be a treat, not like the wacko we had yesterday. This is going to be an actual treat, okay? I thought I needed to make it up to you. Shelley Winter and a few others, okay? All right, top story of the day. Let's put up his picture. Cop has been arrested for child molestation. This is in Carrollton, Georgia, all right? Let me give you some background to this situation. Carrollton school resource officer was arrested and fired after being charged with child molestation on Friday. Jarek Gilbert, that's his name, 35 years of age, was booked into the Carroll County Jail on 1 count each of child molestation and violation of oath by a public officer. Now, we're still getting details as this story develops. Here's some more background. An internal investigation by the Carrollton Police Department led to Gilbert's immediate termination. In a statement released Friday, the department wrote in part, Carrollton Police Department and Carrollton City Schools acted immediately to ensure the safety of students and the school system, has taken the appropriate actions to ensure full cooperation with local and state authorities. Gilbert was sworn in as an officer July 2015. He was promoted to the rank of corporal in November 2021. Okay, how many stories have we highlighted right here on Indisputable where police officers are engaged in this kind of monstrous activity? We have had story after story where police officers were engaged in inappropriate sexual contact to child molestation, trying to solicit sex in exchange for positive testimony or to drop a citation. And then we have situations like this, the most egregious of them all, monsters against children. As I've said before, I will say again, there are real monsters inside of our school system. Critical race theory is not one of them because it's not even taught. And if it was taught, it wouldn't be a monster. This guy's a monster. But do you think Republicans will create legislation to enhance policy to make sure monsters like this do not exist in our school system? No, it doesn't fit their narrative. Not enough meat on the bone for their political classification currently. Let me give you some background. I decided to do some research about police officers and sexual assaults. Here's the information. A study by the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank that tracks police wrongdoing, found that sexual misconduct by law enforcement generates more citizen complaints than any other factor except excessive force. There's more. There's another investigation by the Associated Press found that roughly 1,000 officers lost their badges in a 6-year period for rape, sodomy, and other sexual assault. Sex crimes that included possession of child pornography or sexual misconduct, such as propositioning citizens to have consensual sex, but is prohibited based on on-duty intercourse. Now, here I do have a problem with the data set. Let me provide some context. In the Associated Press, their data set included individuals, cops, who engaged in soliciting for sex in exchange for favors within law enforcement or within the criminal justice system. That's rape too. That's sexual assault too, in my opinion. But that's the way they decided to contextualize the data. Now, out of those 1,000 cops who lost their badge, how many of them were prosecuted for actual crimes? Less than 1%. Less than 1%. There's more. A database compiled by the Buffalo News reports that from 2005 to 2015, a law enforcement official was caught in a case of sexual abuse or misconduct at least once every 5 days. Wow. There's a connection. Remember when we talked about these isms that exist, they coexist? You have racism, you have sexism, you have all of these isms that coexist within a particular industry, and the industry tends to be policing. We talk about reform, but we have to now talk about replacement. It is so rotten to the core that the industry is attracting individuals who will prefer to engage in this kind of perverted activity. It's not just force, it's also sexual force. It goes beyond the pale. All right, Sharon, thoughts on this?
First of all, the statement from the school was shocking. Yeah. They said they did all they could. And then they said, we can't comment further. That was the end of the statement. We can't comment because it's an ongoing investigation. He's already been fired. He was fired in 10 minutes. Okay, so there's that. One of the parents, I was reading an article, Rashad was quoted as saying, he was a great guy. He became my child's best friend, danced with my child. I bet he did, okay? So when they talk about an officer, they should want to comment all throughout this investigation. I want to know how many other kids there are, how many other victims there are. And you're right, words matter. 7 years on the force, 1 promotion. How many other kids did he dance with? That's what I want to know. It infuriates me. I'm a parent. We worry about this kind of stuff. I'm a single parent. Those kids are targeted more than others. I just think it's disgusting. I'm not blaming Carrollton police, but tell us everything and keep on talking.
Yeah, and it's so fascinating you say that. It's something similar that I say on this show as well. You routinely see a massaging of the facts, even in the most egregious cases like this, if there's a law enforcement official involved. You know what we don't have? We can't get his mugshot, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, so let's be clear. If this were a regular citizen, that would be the first thing the police promoted on their press release about what happened. There's no press conference. They didn't hold a press conference about this cop who violated not only the public trust, but the innocence of at least one child. And you're right, the statement from the school does not express a sentiment that says, now we need to investigate to make sure there are no other victims. And here's the protocol, here's the phone number to reach out. Here's the way to connect with us so we can make sure that this did not happen to other children. And where's the enhancement to the safety protocols? None of that was mentioned. All right, okay, he's done it again. He's just begging for his privilege to get him in trouble. Congressman Madison Cawthorn brought a gun to the airport, should have went to jail. I would have went to jail, but he gets to avoid going to jail because he's a United States congressman. Put up his picture full mass here, okay? White privilege. Now let's get into the background. He was caught at the Charlotte Douglas Airport, and this is not the first time, all right? This was a photo taken by another passenger obtained by Channel 9. Reporter John Paul shows Cawthorn at one of the checkpoints, okay? Details as reported by Channel 9. According to the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, he had a 9mm handgun, was discovered in a bag at checkpoint D. TSA officials contacted the local police. A photo obtained by Channel 9 shows that a loaded 9mm was recovered at the airport on Tuesday. Let's put up a picture of the gun. Now remember, completely against federal law here. Completely against the law. Anybody else would go to jail, be arrested immediately, okay? He was not. Officers did confirm the gun was in fact Congressman Cawthorn's and said he cooperated with the police. Well, you bring a gun to a plane, and as long as you cooperate with the police, you get to go home. Now, once again, the police are trying to massage the language here. They want you to think, oh, you know what? He was actually a nice guy about bringing a firearm on the plane. So we had to let him go. There's more. Cawthorn was cited for possession of a dangerous weapon on city property, which is a city of Charlotte ordinance. The CMPD said it took the firearm, which is normal procedure. Now, remember, this is not the first time a gun has been discovered on Cawthorn, okay? At an airport, nonetheless. Let's go back to 2021. TSA found a 9mm handgun in Cawthorn's carry-on bag at Asheville Regional Airport. Cawthorn did not face any criminal charges for the incident then. Oh, and let me go out on a limb and say this. He probably brings a gun every time he travels because him scared, okay? All right? Now, there's a proper way to transport your weapon. There's a proper way to do it. What he's doing is completely illegal, but he knows something. He knows he would never go to jail for it. He knows nobody will actually arrest him for it. And here's why. Channel 9 tried to determine why was he never arrested. The Constitution talks about situations just like this, specifically Article 1, Section 6, Clause 1, regarding members of Congress. It says they shall in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace be privileged. There's that word. From arrest during their attendance at the session. There's a political expert, his name is Dr. Michael Bitzer, said, and I quote, I think certainly if he presented himself as a member of Congress and indicated that he was on his way to legislative business, particularly votes on the House floor, I think individuals at Charlotte Douglas probably would have erred on the side of caution in this regard. And they did. But here's the other thing. Discretion is at play here. CMPD has discretion in these cases and says most times they don't arrest a person unless there are other related felony charges or extenuating circumstances. This is quite interesting. Multiple times being cited for bringing a firearm on an airplane, multiple times being pulled over for driving when he is not supposed to without a license. No penalty, okay? No penalty whatsoever, all right? Now, he's out of control. Madison Cawthorn is out of control. But all of Congress, especially those on the conservative side, are out of control. All right, Sharon, thoughts on this?
I wonder how many mistakes one is afforded. How many times is it a mistake? How many times does he forget that he has the gun? I wonder if it was Reclaiming My Time, Maxine Waters. What if it was her? You think discretion would have been shown there? The next phrase she would have uttered is, don't tase me, bro, okay? This whole thing is so ridiculous. I've studied the Constitution, but not as much as you, Dr. Ritchie. But to know that the word privilege is actually written in is fitting, very fitting. It's very fitting, because here we go again. When there's so many crazies in Congress right now, somebody needs to go on and revise this, okay? He's got to be made an example of. We both know that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, well said. All right, we'll continue to follow. We'll give you his next citation that should have led to an arrest. All right, we'll follow that story when it comes. They tell us that there are more good cops than bad cops. Well, that's what they say. And I actually used to believe that until I thought about it. I said, if there are just way more good cops than bad cops, that means the culture of policing would be good. And the bad cops would be on an island. The bad cops would be external of the cop family. They would be the outcasts, not the other way around. Once again, another story about good cops doing the right thing, seeing discrimination against a citizen, filing a complaint against a cop. And what does the police agency do? Well, they retaliate against the good cops who decided to advocate for citizens against the bad cop. Let me bring your attention to New Jersey. 2 New Jersey officers, let's put up this picture. 2 New Jersey officers are suing their department for alleged retaliation following a complaint against a fellow officer for an incident of blatant racial profiling. Sergeant Preston Freeman on the right in 2019 is being promoted to his current rank as lieutenant, and then you have Lieutenant Nicole Stavele, 2020, following a promotion to lieutenant, all right? Both officers made history in diversity, equity, and inclusion in the department. We're talking about some trailblazing people. The 19-page complaint submitted on their behalf by attorney Robert Ballard occurred several weeks after the 2 were suspended without pay for 45 days. Can I say that again? Suspended without pay for 45 days. You can put a bullet in the back of an unarmed black man and not get suspended without pay for 45 days. But if you, as a police officer, if you stand up for a citizen, if you cite their discrimination against a citizen, this is what happens to you. This is the culture that comes against you. There's more. The force had started complaining the two engaged in unlawful behavior while on duty, which the lawsuit alleges the allegations were part of the retaliation against them for describing the discrimination against citizens. Let me give you some details to the lawsuit. On Friday, March 25th, Freeman, the first black sergeant in the Westfield Police Department and the only African American on the force for his first 15 years, and Stavele, the highest ranking female officer in the force's history, okay? Filed a lawsuit in Superior Court in Union City alleging retaliation and discrimination. Their superiors hit them with 10 charges. Look at how they fought back now. They don't go to court. They don't try to defend their actions. They decide to hit them with 10 charges, claiming they violated departmental and internal affairs procedures and departmental rules and regulations when they wrote up a fellow officer for treating traffic offenders differently based on the color of their skin. Now remember, the police department, they don't give a damn about the discrimination that's happening. They care that you told on them. That's the issue they have, okay? There's more. When recalling the January 29th, 2020 ordeal that sparked the charges, the lawsuit said a white male officer named Christopher Forcenito was assigned to work the night shift alongside the other two officers. While patrolling, the two officers said they observed their white colleague stop a black male on East Broad Street for speeding and failure to keep right. As a result, the cop issued the transgressing motorist a summons for driving with an expired license. Later during the shift, the same officer stopped a white male who was driving 65 miles per hour on the East Broad Street where the speed limit is 25. That's called a super speeder in my state. However, he did not give him a summons, only giving him a verbal warning before letting him go. Let's put up a picture of cop friendly to white people only. His name is Christopher Forcenito, as I said, hired in 2015, been there for a few years. However, based on rank, that guy is a subordinate to the other two. They outrank him. So as the ranking officers involved, they decided to do something. They filed a complaint on behalf of the citizens. The lawsuit states when Freeman questioned Forcenito about the discrepancy, Forcenito responded he didn't have to issue a ticket and that the driver was a nice guy. When Freeman and Stavale asked him to write up a report sharing why he chose to give one ticket to one and not the other, guess what? The subordinate cop, Forcenito, he refused, okay? He had the, I know you outrank me, but you can kiss my ass mentality. Isn't that something? I thought police officers believed in hierarchy. We just did a story yesterday about two cops that pulled over another cop who was a black male detective in their own city and still asked him, well, sir, where are you going? He said, I'm a detective, I'm in full uniform. It's a police car, you pulled me over. They didn't give a damn that this detective outranked them. Just like these cops, or this cop did not care that these cops, both of them outranked him. Starting to see a trend here. The lawsuit states no investigation was conducted into the actions. None, no investigation, even though superiors said this happened. The two would become targets as a result of this. Let me give you some background to how. Within days of their reporting Forcenito, Instead of seeing a follow-up on the discrimination allegations play out, Stavele was told by the top brass that she was the target of an internal investigation because she acted inappropriately when she suspended the officer for racial profiling. That officer was also slated to become the department's accreditation manager, but the job was given to a white male officer instead. Additionally, the lawsuit afforded Freeman the space to speak about over a decade's worth of discrimination he has endured as a minority on the force. In detail, the claim shows a history of acts that have singled out Sergeant Freeman in ways that seem to be based on his race. Remember, Sergeant Freeman was there for years as the only black police officer. Now, I get what you all are trying to do, and to some degree is noble. It took you a while to get here, but you finally put them on paper. You finally did it. You put them on paper, and what did they do? They came against you. You see, I'm not against police, I'm against bad police. I'm standing up for these 2 police officers who are doing the right thing. Now, I can make an argument they should have started that way some years back, but that's a different conversation for a different segment. Right now, what needs to hit every single person watching this is the culture of policing. The culture is adversarial to cops who are good, okay? Let's put up a picture of the chief. He's the guy in charge, right? The buck stops with him. He permeates the culture. That culture exists because of his protection of it. One past incident involved the police chief. His name is Christopher Badaloro. He tried to throw out Freeman's promotional exam results, the black guy, the black cop. He tried to throw out his exam results when the chief found out Freeman scored the 2nd highest on the sergeant's exam. To become a sergeant, you got to take a sergeant's test. He wanted to throw out the exam results. Freeman had hired an attorney at the time and threatened to sue if the results were discounted. That threat prompted the chief to promote Freeman to sergeant. Okay? You still talking about reform? I'm talking about replacement. Sharon, thoughts here?
Well, he's got to go. I'm probably 1,000 miles from, what is it, Westfield?
Yeah.
The Westfield Police Department in New Jersey. I'm 1,000 miles away. I can smell the stench right here. I'm in Atlanta. I can smell the stench from here, rotten to the core. This whole thing that we've been told for decades about most police are good, cops are good. It's just a few rotten apples. You're right. Rule of law, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. No, he had to sue after passing the test and doing better than one of his counterparts. Here we are. It tells you everything you need to know about the Westfield Police Department and what was done here. It's disgusting. And I'm gonna tell you this, in about 10 minutes, the chief looks like he's probably nearing retirement. About 10 minutes, Rashad. Officer friendly only to white people. He'll be the new chief. Watch.
Yeah. And I want to say this because when we post this on YouTube and Facebook Watch, there'll be people that are pro-police that push back. Listen, I'm pro-public safety. And if police officers are good, they are pro-public safety as well. But let's be very clear. I'm saying this to any cop who sees this. I know you may think you're good because you don't do some of the things that people like Forsanito will do. But you're not as good as you think you are if you're silent when it happens in front of you. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
Do all of you know the Young Turks?
An outlet like yourself that are willing to cover this story from the very beginning.
You have the Young Turks and a bunch of other progressive forces saying this is the time to fight for our values.
And I think right now there are a lot of progressive voters, many leftists who feel like they don't have a home.
And this is why what Cenk and the Young Turks are doing is so important.
What we've done is sustainable,
slow, healthy growth. And I think that's the way news should be, where you don't rely on sensationalist stuff. You don't lean on whatever's trendy in the news at any given moment. You just go with the truth.
You gave me a platform.
You've uplifted so many other progressive voices through this network, and you're constantly looking for people that you can amplify through the work we do, through the infrastructure that you built at TYT.
It takes those early people who believe that can really be the seeds of this movement, and that has been the Young Turks.
We're super serious about the news. We also managed to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We're not TYT, you're TYT.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richard. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.
I'm back to gaslighting. Did you and I talk about gaslighting on Old School?
Probably.
That boss gaslit all his female employees. People who manipulate others like that make you feel like you're the weirdo. Why won't you punch yourself in the face? What is wrong with you? And you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Why didn't I just punch myself in the face and poke my eye out? I'm 47 and I just figured it out like earlier this year.
You figured out somebody was doing it to you, or that you were
that it was that it would have been happening my whole life and I didn't realize it.
Right.
What's happening? Welcome back. Okay, we got a lot of show left. I'm gonna read some of these amazing comments. Before I get to the comments, let me remind everyone, few things happening, okay? May 3rd, it's progressives versus the establishment, all right? We'll be providing live coverage Tuesday, May 3rd for the Ohio and Indiana primary elections. We'll be paying attention to races connected to Senator Nina Turner for Ohio's 11th district, Morgan Harper, and both of them obviously friends of the program for US Senate and others, all right? So here's what we need you to do. Tune in, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time to make that happen. All right, I'll read all of them. All right, here we go. Tune in, tyt.com live, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or linear, YouTube TV, Roku channel, Pluto TV, Zumo, Comcast, Xfinity X1, Xfinity Flex, Samsung TV Plus, TCL, and Local Now. Okay, a lot of ways to watch. Okay. Cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug, says, oh my God, where has Miss Sharon Reed been all my political life? That is so kind. Chichi Massey, Sharon Reed and Doc Ritchie is on and popping now. Very kind of you. And listen, Sharon and I go way back. And when I tell you this sister was the catalyst for my television career, when I thought I could never do TV, no way possible. She's the person that encouraged me, that gave me so much guidance, and forever grateful of our friendship. All right. Peter Hamby, thank you for that, Peter. Let's see. C. Michael Henson. I wonder if Cawthorn had a gun in his lingerie picture. That was a good one, C. Michael Henson. Yeah. All right. Progressive Boomer Dragon, finally a crack in the thin blue line. Yep. All right. And Twitch. Doc, Cat Williams went to jail for this. I know. I mean, Cat Williams went to jail for jaywalking. They were locking up Cat Williams for everything back then. Absolutely right. Cat Williams needs to run for Congress. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free. Back off. I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life. What?
Karenicity runs deep here. This is what happens when two Karens, a male Karen and female Karen, decide to get together. A sandwich. You commit criminal acts, destruction of property, terroristic threats over a damn sandwich, okay? You don't deserve whatever sandwich you're asking for. Now, according to the report here, the young lady was asking for what's called a sloppy sandwich. There's more.
There's been plenty of people that have walked into New York subway and I've asked them, can you remake my sandwich? This is not how it's supposed to be made. What are you supposed to do? Shut up and do your job. Yes, you are. The f you talking about? This started over a sub, right? It started over a sub. And now we're going to mouth. That's not lazy. That's not lazy. I don't care. I'm the one that came to it. That's how you talk about.
Over Subway sandwich. Now, the male Karen said he could walk into a New York subway. Well, they were actually in Vermont, according to the Post here. Here's the thing. Once again, we provide a reflection. We provide mirror for reflection and correction. The reality is, you don't talk to service people like this, individuals that keep America moving. This will not stand. And that's why we are happy to highlight individuals like this Karen, well, both of them on this program. I remember what it was like, waiting tables, being a cook, washing dishes. I remember those jobs. Those jobs are tough. Really, some of the hardest work I've ever done, consistent work. And then the psychological aspect of rude people like that, not tolerable, all right? Sharon, what are your thoughts here?
I'm still stuck on the campaign, refresh. I mean, that subway and that situation looked a lot different, Rashad, than Steph Curry and Simone Biles, the one they were in. It's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, you had the brother and sister working behind the counter. Even more ridiculous though was, did you notice how long this drama played out? At one point, the manager actually comes out after It's an assault. You tell me, Dr. Richie, I think it's an assault. You're throwing things, you're destroying property.
Yes.
He comes out and he reasons with Karen and the male Karen. He tries to actually have a conversation with them. Privilege, there we go again.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Every time I see a manager who decides to acquiesce to the violence of a customer against one of their employees, I already know that manager is probably horrible at managing, because you don't have enough respect for those that look to you for leadership to make a decisive ethical decision and say, no, my employee will not be treated that way and you have to get out of here. I don't care what the argument started over. It doesn't matter once you've engaged in physical combat, destruction of property, physical assault. Get the hell up out of my store. All right, I got something for everybody. Double dose.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free. Back off.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
So sorry. No, you're not. But thank you. You're right, I'm not. LOL. LOL. That's why you're pathetic and work over here. You're right, I'm so pathetic. Obviously, because you don't have to care the people in the restaurant. If someone orders and they wait 22 minutes for a pizza. They should fire me. They fired me. And what was your name again? Marley. Marley. M-A-R-L-E-Y. Is it M-A-R-L-E-Y? Got it. Yep. Okay, go ahead, write a review on Yelp for me. What do you thought? Why was writing Yelp? When someone in the restaurant's eating, you give them their food first, not to the DoorDash. Bye. Bye, Felicia. Have a nice day. You too, raggedy bitch. Yup. Being rude. Rude to your customers. I don't even consider her That's why you can't get nothing right in the restaurant. You're cute arguing with a high schooler. Oh, that's cool. You're a high schooler. Shows your demeanor. Yup. Okay. Exactly. Have a nice day. Yes, exactly.
Karenicity runs deep in this one. Let's put up a picture, full mass of this particular Karen. You're too damn old to be arguing with a high schooler like that. It's a shame. Now, okay, you're upset. You're upset because somebody ordered a DoorDash. Now, damn it, that order could have been mine. I love DoorDash. But yes, Karen, that's how it works. That DoorDash order comes in at a certain time, just like your order. And likely that DoorDash order came in before yours. Starting to degrade another human being, especially a child, because you don't like the protocol of their service, is going too far. Log your complaint, send an email, call the 1-800 number, take your business elsewhere, don't shop there again. But to engage in that kind of rude behavior with a child, that's gonna land you a spot on this show every time. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
Yeah, I mean, you got to spotlight her. This Karen's incredible. Her name is Marley. And even though Karen couldn't get it right, called her pathetic, called her the B word. Look, once you call someone a Tuesday, that's a wrap. But I noticed that all these Karens have one thing in common, Dr. Richie. They tend to go off and then take their time. You notice how she just casually walked back to the table, went to her guest who really was unfazed. The older gentleman was unfazed. And then she hurled more insults and waltzed on out of there. Karens take their time with this kind of personal affront.
Yeah, I feel bad for the older gentleman at the end. I feel bad for him because, as soon as that started, he probably said to himself, oh hell, here we go again. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
Our audience has given us everything, so we couldn't be more connected. When we first started, people would start giving us directions and say, okay, the mics are too large, move them. Turn them into lav mics. I mean, they were incredible. And then one guy walked in and gave us a really expensive switcher and said, you guys need this, and walked out. Okay, it's amazing. They helped us build a studio. They did a $2 million funding campaign for us. And so they really are us. We do this show together to the point where some of our hosts are even former listeners. So when we say that the audience is part of TYT, we really mean it.
I think what the audience also appreciates is especially if they're members, they really get an inside look into who we are, our personal lives, what drives and motivates us. It goes beyond just storytelling. I think that what we do is allow our viewers and our listeners into our daily lives, and we give them kind of like this inside look into everything that we're passionate about and why it is that we're doing what we're doing, right? Like the motivation behind what we're doing, I think is important for our audience to know, and we're not shy about sharing that with them. And it's different from what people typically see in legacy media outlets where everything is kind of dry and robotic and there's really no personality or authenticity that comes along with it. Oftentimes when we're doing the show, I don't really think of it as me telling them stories. I think of it as us having a mutual respect and conversation with one another. And as I said earlier, I mean, not only do I feel that through the work I do, I'm informing our audience, but they inform me oftentimes as well. You know, they'll pitch stories to us. They'll tell us, you know, a certain perspective or angle to a story that we might have missed. And I love it.
Our TYT audience has been building this show and this network with us for 20 years. Now we're expanding and connecting our audience around the world in even more exciting and powerful ways. Look, I don't want you to miss another petition, poll, community conversation, or TYT segment. Connect with informed, passionate, and compassionate progressives, and even new progressives. They're joining our movement every day. This is gonna be amazing when we work together. So our community members are learning together, they're building lifelong relationships, and even politically organizing together. Here's what Power Slave Wolf has to say as they begin interacting with our community after making TYT their #1 trusted news source. Quote, I've been a TYT viewer since the Obama years and have since found them to be a far more trustworthy news source than most TV news outlets. Away from viewing TYT, I'm a musician, electric bass guitar, sim racer, satire enthusiast, and rollerblader, the latter being my main means of intense exercise. TYT, my local news, none of the stations in my area are Sinclair owned as far as I know, and comedy style news shows are my trusted news sources. The former and the latter both having something in common in that both have something that TV news sorely lacks, a very low tolerance for BS. So sign up for free at tyt.com/community. We're making it easier to connect, stay informed, and even take action.
Hi, I'm Bartholomew Joseph Kyle. I do audio for the main show, The Young Turks. I also do audio for Post Game. I started in 2006. I met Cenk Uygur at the Iraq for Sale screening that was directed by Robert Greenwald. And watching that, I want to figure out a way to be part of something that's genuine and authentic.
Welcome back. We got a lot of show left. Let me read some of these amazing comments. I will read as many as I can. I can't read all of them for the sake of time. Thank you for chiming in. All right, cognitive dissonance is a hell of a drug, says, no, they don't get their money back. They need to pay for all that stuff they broke. That's right. Gonzalez, how dare you not read my mind and make food exactly how I like it? Explosive selfishness. Robin's Egg says, she committed 2 crimes, verbally assaulting their work and then assaulting my eyeballs with those yellow stretch pants.
Wow.
That's so mean, but it's funny as hell though. All right, Canadian in Hawaii. I love how she thinks she knows how DD works. The customer may have been waiting over an hour already, talking about DoorDash. And that's correct, yeah. All right, there's an update. All right, we have an update on a racist individual terrorizing neighbors. That racist person has finally been charged with a hate crime. Let's put up his picture. We've been following this story. In an update, federal agents have charged a white Wisconsin man with a series of hate crimes. He's alleged to have violated the civil rights of several black and brown people to get them to move out of his neighborhood. His name is William McDonald. That's the man that you see. On April 19th, the FBI executed a warrant to search McDonald's home in connection to the hate crimes. He did not have anything to do with the harassment, but agents report they found racist handwritten notes in his home. Williams previously reported the people he had been harassing to the police department over 26 times. One of the neighbors, McDonald terrorized, let's put these neighbors up, all right? Were Reginald Wilkerson and the fiance, her name is Tanethai Addison, who said they have been targeted 5 times since the beginning of the year by McDonald, okay? The couple have not kept their baby daughter at the property for fear of her safety, all right? So he scares people, right? There's more. Let's put up some of the things he has done or alleged to have done. Tires on the silver sedan were slashed multiple times. Most recently, the driver's side window was bashed in. But the most insidious part of the attack may have been the notes left behind. Multiple handwritten letters tucked into plastic bags threatened the couple using the N-word and other profanity multiple times. Let's put up some of those letters, okay? One of the letters demanded the couple get the F out of my neighborhood, N-words. And another note read, you thought I was playing about driving and speeding in my neighborhood, you piece of ish. Get the F back to the F in North Side where you belong before I put sand in your gas tank, okay? Let's put his picture up again. Let's put his picture up again. All right. So let's talk about this for a second. Hyper aggressive racism is where he is on the spectrum. Racism exists on the spectrum. He can't be helped. He would die a racist SOB. There is no help for him. He will not be redeemed. It's done, it's over with, okay? So for individuals like this, we need to make sure they are shamed, they are highlighted, and then they are excommunicated from normative society. In order for him to survive, he needs to survive in some dark, deep crevice of society. He deserves no benefit, he deserves no privilege. You give him any power, you give him any level of authority, you give him any amount of status, he will use it to abuse and harm others. He's rotten to the core. This is systemic racism. This is cultural and racial bias. Sharon, thoughts here.
First of all, I hope in that crevice there's some Crips and Bloods. I think that would be good for him too. I think that would be good for him. But a couple of observations, Rashad, the penmanship on this vile racist, it's good. This remarkable penmanship he has here. And it actually speaks to the investigation, because here we have a guy who also called the police on Black people in and around his apartment complex. He did it 26 times. It might've been in one day, 1 or 2 days. And here's the difference, because earlier in the show, you talked about the Westfield, I think New Jersey Police Department doing everything the wrong way. Yep. Here we are in Wisconsin. I think it's called the West Allis Police Department. What they did when he called 26 times was they didn't go there and act on it. They didn't tase any unarmed Black men. They didn't kneel on anyone's neck. Nope. All they did was show up, and they got him on an illegal signal. And when he signed the citation, they turned that over to the FBI to assist in the investigation. And the FBI said, you know what? The A and the G here looks fantastic. It's him. And of course, G is important when you're doing that hard N-word situation. The G is very important. So here we have a situation that worked out the opposite way. I wanna know about people like this, motivation. And then I said, you know what? Why don't we just call the Black girl that quit him? That's really what's going on here. Find the Black girlfriend, Dr. Ritchie, who quit him.
Wow. And it's fascinating also that the FBI and local police, they had to use some creative methods in order to get this guy, right? But routinely, this is an exception from that rule. Routinely, we see police agencies use creative methods to make sure they protect one of their own, a white supremacist, or even somebody who's terrorizing the community, but they may in fact be a conservative, right? So big ups to law enforcement. Once again, I'm not against police, I'm just against bad ones. Speaking of bad people in criminal justice systems, put up the picture of this judge. That judge is corrupt to the core. I'm going to explain it. Her name is Julia Halls Gordon. She has now been removed. Why? She destroyed evidence. She called the presiding judge over her son's case, who was charged with assaulting. She's not been removed, but there's so much more to this, okay? The commission said Gordon, Judge Gordon, could have been disqualified based on the first count of the complaint alone by itself, that she sought to influence the amount of bond in a case against her son and destroyed evidence. Now I want you to remember, she destroyed evidence. Now she admitted to this. She destroyed evidence against her son. The panel said that constituted misconduct in the office and violated 8 sections of the judicial canons of conduct. Well, good for these judges who say, well, damn it, destruction of evidence is a policy no, and you can no longer be a judge. You know what else it is? It's a criminal offense. Is she going to jail? No. Is she being indicted? No. She destroyed evidence. You destroy evidence, you go to jail. If I destroy evidence, I go to jail. A judge destroys evidence, they get to retire. There's more. The agency also said she violated ethics rules by appointing a criminal defense lawyer. Now watch this. A criminal defense lawyer who represented her son as a guardian ad litem, allowing him to win fees. She presided over family court. So let me explain this before I continue. This judge presided over family court. Her son gets in trouble, right? Her son gets in trouble for assault. She then tells the guy in the courtroom, the attorney, I need you to defend my son, and give some special breaks inside of her courtroom. And it said she tried to use her influence with the county jailer to win favorable treatment for her son. In a story in December, the Courier Journal reported Gordon told the agency in the letter that she was acting as a mother when she tried to help her son. Oh, okay. All right, destruction of evidence, okay. You're acting as a mother. Now let's break this down. You're acting as a mother to create a privilege for your son that nobody else in America would have. All right. Some people understand that, but you did something else here, Judge, didn't you? It was more than just destroying evidence, which is a crime. It was more than just using your influence with other judges, which is a crime. It was more than throwing your weight around at the local jail to get him special treatment, once again, a crime. It was more than that, wasn't it? Here's more. Other complaints against Judge Gordon. Judge Julia Halls Gordon also held court late into the night, sometimes requiring parents and their children to appear after midnight. Unheard of, but she did it. And when a treatment center refused to test defendants for drugs, Gordon let her staff do so despite their lack of training. And they put urine samples in the same refrigerator where they stored their lunch. Complete incompetence. The panel said Gordon's misconduct continued even after she learned she was the subject of a massive complaint and investigation. Judge Gordon, 42 years of age, who hails from an influential Owensboro family, it's a park and golf course named for the former mayor, Ben Halls, her great uncle, was elected to her first term in 2016. Now, what do we have here? We have generational privilege. You were privileged, your parents were privileged, your grandmama, granddaddy was privileged. Well, of course your son is going to be privileged, no matter how criminal he may be. See, here's what happens to the comfort of privilege. You never learn how to be a decent person. You never learn what it means to grow, to change because of challenges, to become better than the circumstances around you, to become fortified in values rather than money, to become fixated with doing good and not just getting power. That is the adverse effect of this kind of privilege. Now, you both are probably going to go to jail. Now, once again, we're going to keep the pressure high on this because she has been cited for ethical issues, violation of judicial conduct. But once again, they have proven she broke the law. Where's the district attorney? Where's the attorney general? Who's going to charge the judge? Sharon, thoughts here.
Well, she may or may not go to jail. She'll get a court show first. That'll happen first. I guarantee you, she'll get herself a lucrative court show. This whole thing where she commingles the son, the drug abuse, his case, it's in a way that only Clarence and Ginny Thomas can appreciate here. Where is the district attorney on this? And when do people like Judge Gordon get their comeuppance, Sean? When does that happen?
Yeah, isn't that something? All right, we'll see. All right. I hate to do this to y'all. What in the red state hell?
You can take a gun, shoot somebody in the face. It's not hard. Sometimes it might even be fun if they're a godless commie.
Now, what they're trying to do is sneak the COVID vaccine in your salads.
I hate math. Somebody say amen.
This is nanotechnology starting to organize. This is being injected from the bioweapon jabs, and it's starting to organize. They're starting to come together and form a lattice structure, which is going to form an AI, which is going to interface with Bluetooth, and it's going to be able to track anybody that took this shot. They're going to be able to track your heart rate, where you are, your location, your temperature, right? This is all part of turning you into an AI transhuman.
She actually practices medicine. Let's put up her picture full throttle. What state do you think she practices medicine in? Yeah, you guessed it, Florida. Let's keep her picture up. Her name is Dr. Elizabeth Eads. She appears to have an active physician license, according to the Florida Board of Medicine, although her license was suspended in 2005 after the board found out she had not completed sufficient continuing medical education courses. She also previously claimed that the COVID vaccine will give you AIDS. She is a practicing physician in Florida. Now she's saying that the vaccine is actually making us, what is it? AI transhumans. I gotta say this. Sounds pretty freaking awesome. Sharon.
Yes.
What are your thoughts about this?
Well, sign me up. Okay, Dr. Eads, sign me up. It sounds wonderful to me too. And then I realized I got the COVID vaccine and I'm boosted, about to get another one. I can't wait to sign up for my 4th shot. And I have an iPhone. So everything she's talking about, they done got me. Okay, they got me. They can track me everywhere.
Yeah. So let me say this on a serious note. Obviously, this is the reason why we have so much dysfunction as it relates to basic science and COVID-19. Individuals like this exist. And then not only do they exist, they have actual position and authority in medicine, in science. So naturally, this one-off, this person that is completely contrary to the normative field of science, adverse to actual observation of science, will be the one person that the right promotes. Okay, they was look at what Dr. Elizabeth Eads said at a conference that had 20 people in attendance on social media or something, right? And they'll cite her as being some kind of great scholar in medicine. And the truth is, the woman is just off her rocker here, all right? This has no basis in any testing that has been done, no credible testing at least, and no research that she has independently conducted. This is simply part of the conspiracy theory created based on a rumor mill and then enhanced due to the political culture of America. Sharon, we are so thankful to have you on Indisputable today. Tell people how they can follow you and check out your great work.
Sharon Reed Live, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And let me say this, you mentioned earlier, Rashad, that I helped give you your start in TV. You were a star from the beginning. Only difference now is you're wearing suits that are much more expensive. Okay, that's the only difference. Okay, you've earned it. Too kind. You've earned it.
Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate our friendship. Talk to you soon, okay?
All right now.
All right, we got more on the other side. It's Indisputable, stick and stay.
Old school is pitched to me from Jank. It'll just be me, you, Jesus, Ben, and maybe Michael. And we're like, okay, cool. I can do that every week. As you can see, me, Jesus, Ben.
When you make the order, it says, don't exceed $20.01. So I'll just order literally anything to get it as close to that as I possibly can.
I'm sorry that I ordered $45 worth of food and got an email saying, sir, would you like to rethink that? What are you talking about?
I was in hell. I was just like, oh my God, the theater's empty, nobody's here. Everyone on screen keeps fucking cursing. Why did I let this happen? And the whole thing looks like it was shot through a glass of milk. My mom's gonna be so mad.
If you're looking for a heart attack, the short way, baby.
Wrong, I did put mayonnaise on it. I'm the most in shape, overweight person you'll find.
That's right.
He was like, why didn't you answer my call? I called you 39 times.
Yuck. But what makes you stop right before 40? What makes you say, nah, man, I ain't doing that no more. I'm cool.
And I called you back on the air. And I was like, okay, Kevin Smith, big shot. What the you said you'd come on and you didn't come on.
I'm sure I took that very well.
Yeah, you did. You called me back the next day and said, I thought it was 7 a.m. And there's now deep fake porn. I don't know if you guys have heard of this.
I heard of it. I just had some in the car.
I'll tell you who I'm not Ben Mankiewicz. Have you guys ever felt that?
Not ever.
And now it's just the three of us.
This is the intimate hour.
By the way, the last half hour of this, we're not even rolling.
Fair enough.
Hey, man.
Easily.
See, I watch movies.
I'm done with both of you.
Once Greg starts laughing, I can't stop. And I was just gonna ask you about getting high.
Snoogans, Snoochie Boochies, and members, of course, you can get the whole damn thing. TYT.com, join and free trial. I'm old school with the old folks.
Good.
John, come back.
This is where it all began for many elected progressive leaders. The Young Turks was one of the few media outlets to cover the races of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Rashida Tlaib, and many, many more. We know a great majority of the country is actually progressive, and TYT is here to amplify these issues so that we can have better policies that a majority of the country actually supports. We want to drive positive change, and then we've been doing that for 20 years here. That's why we're launching Canvas 2022, a campaign to get out the vote and amplify progressive candidates. The progressive agenda and their primary races. The midterm elections are fast approaching, and we know mainstream media won't cover progressive voices, but because the TYT audience is too strong, we can make a difference in the midterm elections to help progressives get elected and make sure our priorities are heard. Support our mission to drive positive change. Visit tyt.com/canvas2022.
Field goal here. It's time to switch to beer.
Oh, man.
Oh, God.
Do your best.
He's a little like...
Oh. No one's happy now.
Give him another try.
Oh. Wow.
This is the weirdest game.
Public opinion, your opinion, has zero effect on public policy. The richest people in the country, their opinion has a direct effect.
Leslie Byrne, a Democrat from Virginia, describes that when she went to Congress, she was told by a colleague, quote, always lean to the green. And to clarify, she went on, he was not an environmentalist.
Our government actively serves the richest and the most powerful and turns its back on everyone else.
Finally, end the corruption and get money out of politics and give us back our democracy.
Welcome back. Okay, let me read a couple of comments for the sake of time. Next TYT reporter says, did she say the vaccine is going to give me Bluetooth? Hails to the yeah. Shikida, good night, Beer Dragon. Does that mean that I would no longer need to pay for Wi-Fi? Listen, I'm highly interested in becoming an AI transhuman. It sounds really freaking awesome. It sounds like a superpower or something, okay? Depends on perspective. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bullpen. This is one of the most amazing interviews that I've had the opportunity to do. We're going to change it up today. The Bullpen will not be a debate, but a highlight of two amazing people, Brandon Harris and Sura Sohna, okay? Brandon, through a remarkable story, Brandon helped his friend get out of jail early. His friend is now in college. Brandon is also in college, about to go to law school. It's an amazing success story. Brandon and Sura, thank you both for being on the show. How are you?
Doing well.
All right, I'm gonna do it this way. And Brandon, typically I would start with you because you're the guy who said, let me try to change something. But I want to start with Sura. You were incarcerated. You had a lengthy sentence. You all were very good friends, and then something happened. Brandon ended up getting a scholarship to a private institution. He wasn't there in the community with you as he was before, and you went a different path. You went this path, you get in trouble, and then he comes back and he rescues you. But I want you to tell us the story from your perspective.
So me and Brandon, like, we've been friends since we were in 3rd grade, and we did like regular things together, like as kids, like basketball, games, and stuff like that. And then like when we got into middle school, I started to get into the wrong things, and then that's how like we stopped like encountering with each other, because I didn't want to bring my troubles to him, and I know he was doing great things. So when I got in high school, I just started to go down, like really down the wrong path, and I just started getting in trouble with law enforcement a lot. And I received a 15-year sentence. And so due to the project, he had wrote me a letter like 2 years into my sentence. And he just was like asking me what's like how my life been, and I've been asking him like just back and forth talk about like how each other been. And he was telling me that he was in college and I was happy for him, and it just basically motivating each other to just lift each other up. And he had a project he wanted to do, which was telling the stories of the lost and forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was very interesting. When he told me about it, and he had asked me, do I want to tell my story of like my history of why I'm in the situation that I'm in. And it was a lot to talk about. It was a lot to basically explain. And I felt at that time like, okay, I didn't really want to do it, but I felt like if I wanted to make true change for myself and elevate myself and just help someone else not get in the situation that I was in, then that would be great. And it don't matter if I help just one person. I did something, I did my job, so.
And that was noble of you. So let me highlight some nobility here. Already, number one, you were doing some things that you knew would be adversarial to your friend. So you didn't want to bring that around your friend. So there was this disconnect. You end up getting popped. You get a 15-year prison sentence. That's real time, okay? That's not playground time, that's real time. You're in for 15 years. Your friend reaches out to you, Brandon reaches out to you. He says, I have this project where I'm going to highlight those that society tends to forget. You agree to do this project, not because you think it's going to get you out of jail. You agree to do the project because you think it may help somebody else in the future, another act of nobility. So now let's go to Brandon Harris. Brandon Harris, you're the friend, you see this happening. Give us the perspective from your point of view.
Yeah, so we basically split when we went to high school. Sura stayed in the public school system, and I got a full academic scholarship to a nearby top private school in the city. And at that school, most people who were there were on the route to college. And I was on that route too. And I ended up getting a full ride, an academic full ride to Davidson College in North Carolina, which is where I'm at right now. And our fork in the road just became even more extreme as time went on, starting with going to 2 different high schools, then getting to the point where he was incarcerated in juvenile detention, and then getting to the point where he eventually, during my start of college, he received a 15-year prison sentence for first-degree burglary.
Tell us about your advocacy. There was a project, and you wanted this project to do what?
I wanted the project to tell a story.
Okay.
I wanted the project to tell Sura's story. So I had a problem going on in my mind, and it took me a while to identify exactly what it was. And that was that as we were young, going through high school and even our early adulthood, Sura was consistently portrayed in a negative way by the media for his actions. And he was, in my opinion, I don't think that people were actually willing to see him in an objective way. He would be in the newspaper, on the TV news for his crimes at young ages, even as a juvenile. And it bothered me that people did not understand how he got to that situation. What steps were missed along the way to get him in that scenario. That bothered me a lot. And it got to the point that later in college, I was able to connect with a professor, and I said that I wanted to tell his story. I wanted to start a project called Telling the Stories of the Ignored and Forgotten. And Sura was a person who I considered to be ignored and forgotten by our society.
That's such a powerful dynamic, such a powerful statement, because everything you did came from an actual experience. You were exposed to something, and something I tell my college students often is that we are a combination of 3 E's: experiences, exposure, and environment. And those 3 E's caused you to create a space for your friend. Now, I want to ask you this question, because at some point, this went from a project about highlighting these particular voices that deserve context and nuance to a project that said, we may be able to get my friend out of jail soon. How did that transition happen, Brandon?
Yeah, so as I told the story, as I researched Sura's story, I wanted to tell it in the most objective way possible. So that included many interviews by letter and by phone with Sura while he was incarcerated. It included reaching out to people who might not be on his side. I reached out to all the victims I could find through public record. I even reached out to the person who prosecuted his cases. I reached out to his family members, friends, anybody who had some knowledge of his life situation from even before the day he was born to the current day, today. That's what I wanted to understand. So I took that objective approach, and then as I got all of my research together, I decided that the best way for me to present it, I wanted to tell the world. So I decided to do a public Zoom presentation. It was open to the entire world. And I asked Sura if he was interested in this, and he was all in. So from there, I reached out to the prison he was at in Maryland and asked if they'd be willing to accommodate so that he could be available through Zoom for 2 hours to go through this presentation. And I was initially denied. They said no. And that hurt. That hurt me, that hurt Sura, that hurt everybody who was invested in this project. But knowing that Sura was in the situation that he was in, I knew that I had to take every step. I knew if this was going to fail, I had to fail knowing that I took every step possible to make it work. So I reached out to the governor of Maryland, Governor Larry Hogan. I wrote him a letter, let him know about the scenario. I let him know about my project. I let him know why I thought my project was important. And a few days after that letter was received, I heard that he was enthusiastic about the project, and he reached out to the Department of Corrections to make that possible. So Sura was available by Zoom for 2 hours to talk about his story. We went through our research, and within 2 minutes of being onto the call, our Zoom meeting had met the capacity, 300 participants from all around the world. And at that point, we knew that we had a support system. People were actually interested in hearing the objective story that we had to tell. So that was that. And after that project, we really started thinking about how could we get a judge, the court, to hear the situation. So that was what steps we were taking after that presentation last April.
Let me tell you, man, I've read the story, I've seen the interviews, I academically know what happened, I've done the research, but to hear you tell it makes me profoundly emotional for a very good reason. Because you chose not to take no for an answer. And if we had people like you both running this country, we will be in a far better place today than we are right now. And let me say this also. One of the greatest, one of the most underrated experiences in humanity is being uncomfortable. I actually like being uncomfortable because when I'm uncomfortable, I would change things. You were uncomfortable. You changed something. And here's what happens. Two things take place when we're uncomfortable. Either number one, we try to change the thing that makes us uncomfortable, or we try to become comfortable in our discomfort and change nothing. You decided to change what was around you because you were uncomfortable. Sura, let me talk to you about your highly successful life now. You're a college student. You study film, photography, and production. You have an actual photography business. As a matter of fact, tell us the name of your business, brother.
It's FTGU Photography. It stands for from the ground up. Yeah, because like we all start from somewhere and we build ourselves up and build our own empire. So that's why I came up with that.
What year would you be getting out of prison if you had to serve the 15 years they initially gave you?
2034. I'll be 35 years old.
Let me tell you why I'm so connected to you, brother, in spirit. When I was 17, the state of Georgia passed a new law that made all 17-year-olds adults. And I got arrested for a felony and was facing 22 years in prison. I would have gotten out of prison last year if I received those 22 years. I was able to go through what's called a first offender program. That's why I have no felony conviction on my record today. I was mandated to finish my GED because I was too far behind in high school. And today I'm a college professor at the same institution that I got arrested in front of back when I was 17. So when I hear your story and I see the positive impact you're having, you are giving so much more to society than you ever could think of taking away. You are being such a positive impact to not only your local community, but now national, a national audience. Let's go to that time, that transition. You do the Zoom meeting, they finally agree to it. You see all of this support, it reaches capacity. You see that communities are supporting you. When did it become real to you, Sura? When did it become real to you that a judge may actually reconsider the harsh over sentencing you received?
It came to me, I want to say 6 months after the Zoom call. I didn't really believe that I can actually like come home from like that Zoom call and get so much like support from everyone. And 6 months into it, I had talked to Brandon and talked to so many people at this point, and it was just a lot of people that was just reaching out to give me opportunities. And I felt like that it should be no reason if I do receive a court date, it should be no reason that the judge cannot say no, because it's so many good people that's reaching out and that's telling me, okay, when you come home or when you be released, we have this for you. We have like photography programs. We have camera for you. Just like a whole bunch of things that can start me up to help me become the person that I want to be. And like once I started to see like the support system gain and people around me and like the Davidson College like involved in it, I just knew that I was coming home soon.
Brandon, when did it become real to you that this was going to happen or likely going to happen?
So we found out about the court date in December. So we went from April to December, not knowing if we would even get a day in court to tell the story. And when I got the call that we had gotten that court date, I became optimistic, but I also felt a bit nervous, if I'm being honest, because I didn't want to fail my friend. I didn't want to get him into this position and have this not work out the way that we wanted it to.
Yeah. Was this a sentence modification hearing?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Right.
Was it the same judge who did the original sentence or a new one?
The same judge.
You know, and that's fascinating because I'm sure somebody's told you that's rare. What you accomplish, attorneys try to do their whole practice and never get one of those done. You successfully advocated for the same judge who gave the 15 years to let him out. What do you think the change was? What was the difference?
The change was that Sura now has a support network that unfortunately was never there. He has opportunities that were never available. He has resources that were never available. I look at Sura's situation as an example of the school to prison pipeline, which is basically the funneling of youth from the public school system directly to the criminal justice system because their needs are not being met, and it happens so consistently. To be able to step in the courtroom and actually talk about what I had found from my research and discuss the opportunities that I thought were possible for Sura if given the opportunity, that meant a lot. I really wish that more people had that opportunity today. I have a statistic that I'd like to share.
Yes.
In our home state of Maryland, 40% of re-entrants to society, people leaving prison, return to prison within 3 years of being released. And that's based on a 2016 report that was done by some summer interns at the governor's office in Maryland. Re-entry to society is very difficult, and we're experiencing that right now with Sura. Sura's having to work incredibly hard and take major steps for himself to actually survive. We hope that people can understand that if re-entrants are given the appropriate support, opportunity, and resources to be successful, they can and will do so. And Sura is an example of that. He's working to be an example of that.
You know, you both are great examples of the best of us. All of us have made mistakes. Every single one of us have done something worthy of being incarcerated. Everybody, okay? That's just how laws work in this country. But you have risen above the circumstance. You're becoming advocates for others who may be caught up in a similar circumstance, and you're living your story out loud. I only have 2 minutes left before the next show. So Brandon, Sura, I want you both to share with us what's next. And Sura, I'll start with you. What's next for you?
Once I finish, I actually go for like half of the rest of my GED at the community college. Once I finish that, I will go to school for photography and film productions. And right now, I'm just focusing, working hard, and just for my photography business, just every day to just stay consistent and just build myself and just elevate. So I wouldn't really have to work. I just put in the hard work now, so I wouldn't have to work as hard in the future. So.
That's right. That's right. Well said. You got greatness written all over you, brother. Brandon?
Yeah, I'm a senior. I'm a current senior at Davidson College in North Carolina. I'll be graduating in May with a Bachelor's of Arts in Philosophy. And I'll be attending Columbia Law School in the fall in New York City.
So amazing. So amazing, man. I'm looking for great things out of you too, Brandon. Obviously, you all are going to be joined as friends for life. This has been interesting friendship here. I'm just trying to think. I've never had a friend get me out of prison. When I was incarcerated, I could barely get somebody to put money on my books. Okay. So what's the friendship like, man? Do y'all argue? Like, I'm just interested now. This is just a nosy question. Like, Brandon must win every argument at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really got to spend as much time as we'd like because I'm in North Carolina and he's in Maryland. But this summer, we'll be spending time together.
That's good stuff, man. Proud of you both. Thank you both for coming and doing this show with me, okay?
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right. If you need anything, you let us know. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Remember, Twitchuation Room is next. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.